got involved, and I think Al and Ava were early in that process, so maybe they should explain it. Or
we read an article in the Guardian newspaper, and with a picture of the Gatehouse, and it read about Al's art. Sorry. So that was it. It was 1998, I think, right?
Yep.
And like maybe January or something. Like it was way before. Like the house was still full of rats, I think. And Al called it art. So that's how we got involved, because of that article. We kind of lost touch because we used to hang out a lot. Yeah. But then Karen and Art's kids were not the same age as our kids. And somehow when, what we had in common wasn't the same as it used to be, because we were so ahead with kids. So it was so like maybe we haven't seen you for 2-3 years.
Yeah.
And then so Al called you, and that was it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we went and we had a beer actually, right, at a pub, and reconnected. And there's a magical thing that happens. Al Page said this one day, even though we hadn't seen each other for a few years, you walk in and you say, are you going to have this kind of a beer or something? You felt like we just saw each other 8 minutes earlier. Yeah. We hadn't seen each other in years. It was the most beautiful moment, just like that. Like it was just like, let's get on with this. And then I remember at one of the early meetings with Ava, in her very subtle and quiet way, saying, yes, from the back of a room, there was a huge amount of people in this room. It was absolutely packed. And she said, so when does it open? When does the Gatehouse open? And I remember saying, June, what was the date? June 19th or
21st. I think 21st. But
yeah, June 21st. And I don't even know where that number came from. And then it looked like I knew what I was talking about. And I didn't. And then everything we had that as our target date, and that was the end of it. Like Ava set that in motion by asking that one question.
Oh, right. When does it start? Touch, right?
Yeah, and that was amazing. And all the stuff that
I think you were just pressured after that.
A lot of sweating.
Yeah. What about John? How did you get started with the project?
My wife saw the ad in the Guardian as well, and she said she came over to me. I think I was a couch potato there at the time. And she said, "You're always looking for something to get involved in. Look at this, and you should get involved in." So I said, "All right. Well, it looks like they've already got a committee going coming up. Maybe I'll go out there and join in, and maybe I can help." So I went out there to the committee meeting, and there was, I believe it's Mr. Kopchenko.
Oh, right.
With that art from the high school.
Mike Kopchenko, you're absolutely
right. Mike Kopchenko was the electrical teacher at the Lakeshore. Was it Lakeshore Collegiate?
Yeah.
Yeah, Lakeshore Collegiate. He had a number of students that were going to participate, the electrical students. And I thought, oh, this is okay, because he's already taken the lead here, and I could just, tag along and do a little bit of wiring here and there. As it turned out, I ended up getting fully involved, and I went around with all the students, and we laid out the gatehouse for all the wiring, and they had already had the electrical service in the panel, and I took over the internal wiring for the gatehouse, as well as the computer wiring and things like that. So it worked out pretty good. We planned for all the office stuff upstairs and everything, and that's how I got started. It was quite an interesting committee meeting, the very first one, getting it all organized. But I remember there was times that there was with everybody working at the same time in the gatehouse. Of course, there was a lot of teasing going on, a lot of fun going on. It was not all just work. There was a lot of teasing and kibitzing going on with the with some of the guys that were there working, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. But the students from the school were very good, and followed the lead and everything else, and great bunch. So that's how I got started.
Thank you for sharing, John.
Yeah.
I have photos of you at the house, and I think you're working on one of the switches in the hallway, and you're like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of wires in that box.
For sure. Thank you. What about you, Jim? I heard some stories about that hat of yours. You were wearing it throughout the build.
The hat. Yeah, I'm famous for many things, but yeah, that was Mr. Happy, and thanks to Al and John and John, I was Mr. Happy largely because I think they saw me drive a nail, and all the guys said, we can't let Jim do any mechanical work.
Yeah.
This guy's dangerous with a hammer. We can't let Jim do that. So I took on the role of getting coffee and making sandwiches and being Mr. Happy, which was, I think, something, ironically, I'm a millwright by trade, so I am actually pretty good with my hands. But compared to the craft people that we had there and the trades people like John and Al's great skills and John's passion for things, I didn't really bring much to the table except for maybe making coffee, Art. So anyway, that was it. In terms of how I got involved, I think this is just a beautiful story for it. It defines my life, to be honest with you, and God bless you, Al, and Art. I was at the Rotary Club. I was an executive with the Etobicoke Sunrise Club, and we met in the mornings at Valhalla Inn, the old Valhalla Inn. And this guy shows up one day, and we had guest speakers all the time, police chiefs, mayors, all kinds of people. Well, this guy walks up and says, I'm putting together this program, and we want to rebuild this house in Etobicoke on the lakeshore. It's called the Gatehouse. And everybody else around me goes, well, then what the hell did we talk to this guy for? Because traditionally Rotary clubs don't get into what's considered brick and mortars construction projects and donating money to build things. They just don't do that. They're more of a community service, and I'll deliver groceries to old people and do things like that. So anyway, I said, well, geez, this is sort of interesting. And Art stands up, and the minute he starts speaking, he just like captured the room, but he captured me. My apartment backed out on there. My kids used to play in the backyard. The grounds were my home, and my mother being the admitting clerk, I walked her home many nights to her home in Etobicoke. So this guy Art's telling me all about these programs, and I'm going, okay. And I asked Tony Rothschild, our president, and Tony said, Jim, would you champion this? And I said, sure, I'll give it a shot. So the next day, I meet Arthur down at the Gatehouse. There's plywood everywhere, and Art grabs his hammer, and he says, come here, I want to show you this. So we pry back the plywood that's open on the front door, and we crawl in there, and the staircase is rotten, decrepit. There's rat poopy everywhere. It's absolutely mess. Now, I knew this building as a kid, but it was always boarded up. And I said, Art, what do you want to do? Well, we're going to rebuild that, and we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to put a studio upstairs, we're going to do that. And I went to Art, I said, man, no, I don't get that. And I said, we don't have that kind of money. He goes, oh no, we're going to do it with people. And I thought, okay, well, let's do that. So long story short, Art, that's where I got involved. And I fell in love with Art. I fell in love with the idea. I fell in love with Al and John and all the group of you. And I've never felt so proud or so close. Not that my life was pretty chaotic, and there was histories of abuse in my family as well. And so I was endeared to the concept, but I was endeared to the building being in my backyard, endeared to the fact my mom was there. And then when Art started speaking eloquently and so passionately about what Gatehouse and the child abuse stuff was, and the fact it was in Maple Leaf Gardens, which I was associated with, things like this, it just became me. It just became something, a mission for me. It became something I had to do. And then I fell in love with these people, and I went, I'll make cups of coffee. I'll make sandwiches. I don't care if I have to put a hammer down and never hammer a nail, I'll sacrifice that and do what I got to do. So to each and one of you, I love you intensely. I'll remember you for life. And Arthur, it's to your credit that you sowed these people, this beautiful mosaic of disconnected but now connected lives into something that's so beautiful. So I'm proud of you, and I adore all of you.
Thank you so much, Jim, for sharing. And it's so meaningful what you just said, that these people, you all brought this house to life, and it continues to impact people each and every single day. So many people have come back. I've been there for a decade now. In 10 years, I've seen so many people return to the house and say, I was here 2 years ago, I was here 5 years ago, and I was here 7 years ago, and you're still here. This is amazing. And you're helping to save and transform lives, because that's what the Gatehouse does. And that's what you help to create. And I'm so happy to know each and every one of you, and to be here today to share this virtual space with you all. And also, because this is going to be shared on our social media channels, they get to see the people, some of the people that were involved with the project when it first started, like, and how it all began, to capture the history 23 years later is beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing, Jim. What about John and Joni? How did you get involved with the Gatehouse?
I'm going to just go ahead and say, Ava said, Joni, come on, you got to join. So I went down and fell in love with the idea, the concept. I was so inspired by it all. And I fell in love with people. I didn't do as much as a lot of other people did. I did some
you got donations.
Yeah, we got donations. Lots. And we worked on that, and a lot of serving coffee and cake and so on. But I really can't say, I will never forget the Gatehouse. I will never, it's always in my heart. And the people were so inspiring, and the whole concept of helping kids, and the idea that they wouldn't have to repeat their story over and over again, and that there were so many caring people involved in it. And Art, you inspired me, and Ava, you pulled me in. She got me in there, and it was at a very rough time in my life, and it really helped to elevate where I was.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Joni. And John, was it a question of Joni coming and saying, okay, so Ava's got me into something, and you need to be here. You have to be here. How did that happen for you?
We didn't know each other before the Gatehouse. We met at the Gatehouse.
Wait a minute.
Yes.
Oh,
so I answered an ad in that same local paper, and picked up the phone and called and got Ava on the phone. And Ava said, yeah, come to this meeting and you'll get to know what we're doing. I showed up at the meeting. Art gave a very inspiring talk, and I was hooked. And just started that next weekend. I was down there working in the basement, and Art was coming up and peered through the window, saw me. Hey, how are you? Hi. And so that's how it started. And it just kept showing up to the construction group and working every weekend. And then one day I got a call from Ava, and she said, John, it's coming up to the May 24 weekend. It's our final push to get the outside exterior of the Gatehouse ready. And there's this load of lumber that's been donated down in Hagersville. Do you have any way, you're with a transportation company, can you go down and pick it up? I'm not that kind of transportation company, but I go and I found somebody that would donate a truck to me, and I drove down during the day to Hagersville, picked up the lumber, drove back, and we delivered it to the Saturday morning to the Gatehouse, and there was a whole bunch of people there ready to unload it. It was just a magical experience, and that was really my start of it. And we saw it through to the night before the opening, and everybody's there working away and doing finishing touches, and there was painting going on. And this guy Larry brought his big boom box, and he had some jazz music on. And I remember being outside, and like there was darkness behind, and the gatehouse was lit up and there was jazz music coming out of it. And there it was, the life that started the gatehouse the following morning.
Wow.
Fantastic. Fantastic. And then Joni and I really, we met there. We got to know each other. We became Joni and Chachi at the,
Joni and
we
Chachi.
took the mentoring course and mentored some adult survivors of abuse. And then we met people there and ran helped run the 5K race. And
fantastic.
just it actually the gatehouse saved me from an abusive relationship and brought me to a very nurturing relationship. And you know how long ago that was?
Yeah.
It's our anniversary too.
Yeah. Isn't that beautiful?
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great.
That is so
That's great.
beautiful. Thank you for sharing.
That's beautiful.
Do you remember Al Beatty still doing the carpet at midnight the night before?
Oh,
Yeah.
it was way past midnight.
Yeah, way past midnight, right. Did Maria,
think
did you know that we had a telephone number installed? When John said he called, like you couldn't call because nobody answered the phone, but we had the phone number and the voicemail. So all I had to do was pick up the voicemail, but there was no phone because there were rats running through the gate. They're not good. Yeah, they weren't very good at answering calls. But I remember, what time was it, Al? Was it midnight, 1 o'clock, when you were doing the carpet?
Oh, no, it was way past that because, well, I'll explain how I got involved. So I had just come back from Whistler. It was March break. I mean, I think Arthur remembers me being there way before I was there, but at some point in March, I had just come back from Whistler, and the people that I had used to work for had actually paid for me to go out there. It was just a lame excuse. They said I'd be working, but work involved like 2 hours a day at the most. And it was just an excuse to have me there, and which I appreciated very much. So I had come back. I was feeling very privileged. And so I happened to, again, where would we all be without the Etobicoke Guardian, I guess? I saw a picture of Paul Young, and it explained what was going on. And so I thought, well, you know, I'm a carpet installer. They must be they'll have carpet. So, you know, I phoned up and Ada said, there's a meeting tonight. You should come to the meeting. And I went to the meeting. And the most striking thing to me was when I realized how things were set up, that my first impression was, this is nuts. This guy Arthur is out of his mind, and you can't do this. And then, you know, within a few minutes, I realized you can't do this, but this is going to happen. And because I sensed that, as ridiculous as the whole concept was, that it was actually going to happen, I wanted to be a part of it. And so once I decided I was going to be a part of it, then because I lived, you know, like 3 minutes away, I became a bit obsessed with it, I think, because I was over there way more than just on the weekends. I would show up if there were deliveries, or I don't know. I was there an awful lot of the time. And in fact, I never did carpet until, when did I start the carpet? Like maybe on the Thursday. And then we were working on it on Friday. A friend of mine was opening a restaurant. So I left, I think about 8 o'clock, and went home and showered, went to the opening of the restaurant, came back from the opening of the restaurant. And I don't think I got back till 11:30. And so I think the carpet installing went on till at least 2 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, at least.
At least, yeah. It might have even been later than that. Now, it wouldn't have been as late if somebody had spilled paint on the carpet.
It wasn't Jim. He's like, nope, not me.
I'm not pointing any fingers at anybody. but I was thinking about that in anticipation of this call, because if that paint had fallen just about anywhere other than where it did, it would have been a nightmare to repair it. But because it fell right on the landing at the top of the stairs, I think I had it replaced within about 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, it was no problem at all. But it's something we like to hold over Al whenever, any chance I get, I like to bring it up, because Al felt so bad about it. But like, it was, when I look back on it now, I'm really glad that I got involved, just because, the scope of what's gone on, and all these years later, it's turned into something that I couldn't have imagined. And, in the situation that I find myself now, I'm really, really glad that I did it, because it's turned out to be an incredibly important thing for so many people. And I guess, you could have imagined that it might have become something. Well, I'm not sure that I could have imagined that it would ever become what it's become, but because it has, and because of all of our involvement in it, it's really, really meaningful to me. And, I can't think of anything that I've done that's more important than that. And, it's not like I haven't done some things, but that one, it's just really important to me. And at times when I'm not feeling my best, I've always got that to think about, and all the things that went on, because, like, aside from spilling the paint, Al and I shared a weekend where all we did was hang out at the back behind the house and strip layers and layers of paint off the newel posts and get those things ready to be put back in. And I think about the conversations that we had in situations like that. And then with other people, you would find yourself working on a weekend on one particular project with somebody who maybe you hadn't been working with before. And you would make a connection that was, quite meaningful. And, that's how I got to know everybody. And it was just, it's just something that I hold dear. I'll stop now. I'm not good at stopping, but I'll stop now.
Thanks for sharing, Al. It's certainly a very meaningful experience for me too. So I relate to everything that everyone has said on that level. That the Gatehouse is something that's going to be on my list of things that I was part of that made a difference on the planet, that made a difference in so many people's lives, including my own. So I'm really grateful to each and every one.
Al, he was on mute. We didn't hear a thing.
No,
What's that?
Oh, no.
He's joking with you. No, your computer's on mute, but we can hear your audio. No, it's fine now. Jim's just being funny.
What I do, it's my job.
We can hear you perfectly. Thank you. And each and every one of you has talked a little bit about like your contributions on the project and what you did, who brought coffee and cake was involved, which is amazing. I always love cake. I wanted to hear from each of you. What would you say, like an inspirational message for people that are coming through the house this day, either a child or adult, however you want to frame that? What is something that you would want to say to someone?
Okay, I'll start because I'm at the top of the screen apparently. The children and the parents and the people that both on the child recovery program and on the adult survivor program, you'll never know, and you'll never see these faces on the screen today. You'll never know what it's like for a group of us to blindly take on a mission and not ever see or know a face that will benefit from it. We just Elle's passion, John's passion, Joni's, the passion that's on the screen tonight is synergistic. It's unbelievable. It was created from nothing. We didn't know each other. We don't know you. And this magical place and the people around it, Marie and the program people, Art built this, and we built this concept to enable the growth of something we didn't know was possible. We rehabilitated a building that was condemned and should have died and burnt. But our hearts together and our minds together, knew you. We knew who you were. We knew that you needed us to do what we did, and we did it. And we did it without thanks. We did it with cold sandwiches, cold cups of coffee, and we did it together, just because we knew it was possible, with Art's vision. And I can't think a magic moment for me. There was some inspirations. The visibility of abuse at Maple Leaf Gardens, Sheldon Kennedy in Western Canada. There are faces to this, and those faces motivated us and said to us, these are faces we know, and these are things that we have to change. So for me, I thank Al Lockhart, I thank Al and Ava and John and everybody here, John and Al and Al, for never being late, never being asked to come. You didn't have to ask us. We showed up. And we did that for people. We did that for the young children that we knew would walk through that door one day. None of us, I think, knew the volumes, the number of kids, 3, 4, 5 per day, faceless young people. And I'm most proud of John and Joni's type of work, because it never occurred to me about the adult survivor programs. And I'm pretty sure, and Al as well, it never occurred to me that there were adult survivors. I knew them, but they were faceless. I never really knew them. And they came in droves. And we never turned one behind. We never said no. You never said we can't help. We never said it's not possible. So for me, it's a magical thing. And for the people that walk through that door, you'll never know what it's like. And in a lot of ways, we'll never know what it's like. But we did, and we did it together.
Thank you for sharing, Jim. And there's so many people that are, like I said earlier, to this day being helped by the work that you all did to create this really magical and wonderful place called the Gatehouse. Thanks for sharing, Jim. Al and Ava, would you like to share like a message for people who may be watching this video, either survivors or non-survivors?
Yeah, other than what we did back then, there are lots of other service clubs that I probably, it's not feasible now to get involved with an organization because of the coronavirus. But we were lucky back then. But I don't think it could be done now. It just wouldn't be possible to get numbers of people back in that close to each other.
Thank you, Al, for sharing. And I just wanted to pass along a hello from a couple of our facilitators. Rick especially misses you.
Oh, yeah.
He loved facilitating with you. Al facilitated in our adult programs as well. And one of the his co-facilitators was Rick. And Rick said Al walked into that meeting. He sat down. We had met maybe 20 minutes earlier. And he said, Rick and I have known each other for years. We've been doing this a long time. And just everyone was super comfortable in that room. And Rick was like, all right, we're going to have a great time.
Yes.
Oh.
I remember Rick.
They all love you, Al. They all love you.
That's very nice.
Ava, what about you? What would you say to someone who's watching this video or anybody who's come through our programs, either child or adult?
I really don't know what to say because it was more of a learning experience than I can give or what to say to other people. Because I lived in this, I mean, I'm always embarrassed to say it, but I had this perfect childhood with loving parents. And the concept of what other people going through was sort of in the newspaper, just like I don't know people who live in palaces. I don't have any royal friends. You just read about them. I really didn't know anybody whose parents even abused them or that they went through all this horror. And it really opens your eyes that there's another world out there. And I know when I went to high school, like part of my high school in those days was not like going to help out other kids, the breakfast programs. And it was when my own kids helped at breakfast program. It was an eye opener. They thought everybody lived in a lovely house and everybody had lots of food and everybody had lots of clothes and everybody had lovely mummies and daddies, except they learned through the food program by public school. And I just didn't know how horrible what other people had to go through. So it just taught me that. And it was so nice to think that we could all get involved. And selfishly, we had an amazing time. Like I couldn't wait to get to the Gatehouse. Never mind how much we help people. It was a club, a private club that we all got together and did great things for other people. But for me, it was an eye opener.
Thank you.
Almost felt guilty that I just really was out to lunch. I didn't know what other people were going through.
Thank you for sharing, Ava. And it's so true. A lot of people don't know still the prevalence of childhood sexual abuse and child abuse in this country, and are shocked to hear some of the numbers and some of the experiences. Thank you for sharing, Ava. What about John and Joni? A message that you would give to people who are watching this video or survivors, anyone, community?
I have a story to tell that was really meaningful to me. We were having one of those Christmas get-togethers, Art, Ava. I remember we had a Christmas party, and there was a woman that came to the door, and she had children with her, and I opened up the door, and I said, come in, and she started to cry, and she ran away. And I remember in the summertime meeting the same woman at the Gatehouse when we had the outdoor activity. We had, I don't remember what it was exactly, but we were all outdoors and we were having drinks outside, and people were coming to join in. And I remember the same woman, and she came up to me and she said, I've never had the nerve. I've wanted to come. I've come to this door a couple of times. And I remembered her from the Christmas party. And she said, I was abused as a child. She had her 3 children with her. She said, I was abused as a child and I couldn't bring myself to come here. And she stood there and she started to weep. And I said, it's never too late to talk about it. Do you want to talk with someone? So that's my message. It's never too late. There's always something ahead. There's always something you can go for that's positive. And we had a really nice chat, this woman and I. Her children were there, and she said, I've been so afraid. I live in the area, and I know they're here, but I just haven't had the nerve to come. And we did have a small chat. I don't know whether she ever came back. I got her name and I gave it to somebody there. And I don't know what happened after that, but she seemed relieved that we were even talking. It just was a dark secret for her. And she wanted to tell someone. And she told me outside the Gatehouse on a lovely Sunday, sunny afternoon. But I remembered her from the Christmas party, running away from the door crying.
Thank you for sharing, Joni. So many survivors are afraid to walk up those steps. It takes a lot of courage and strength to do that. So for her to even come up to you took a lot. And thank you for being there for her, because that's one of the things that people need, is to be heard and validated. And that's what the Gatehouse does. That's what you all did for survivors out there. You built a place, helped build a place where they are heard and they are validated. Thank you. John, did you want to share some words?
Well, I wanted to say that during the initial stages of working at the Gatehouse, it was more or less a challenge and getting people to come on board, and I really have to throw it out to the community as well. The community really came together, and even outside the community, there was a lot of things that we needed, supplies and everything else. And the companies that just automatically threw their hat in the ring and offered to help out with the goods that were needed to build the Gatehouse and to restore it. But what I wanted to share was one day I was outside and I was working on one of the outside lights, and I saw this boy kind of circling around on his bicycle for a while, and it really came home for me at that time. He had an appointment inside the gatehouse. I didn't really know that, but finally he put his bicycle down to the side and he went inside. And of course, when that occurs, I can't go inside the gatehouse anymore. So this was early on, and that really struck home for me. And I thought to myself, well, this is what we were doing this for, you know. And I also remember there was a couple of times when I was working upstairs, and in particular in the audio video room and in the special room up there where children would be interviewed and that. And I thought to myself, you know, everybody that worked on this project worked on it and gave a lot of love into this project. They put their heart into it. And these people that are coming in, the children and the adults that come into to this gatehouse, should keep one thing in mind. We all did this for you. We did this so that you can benefit from it. So you have a place to come that is safe. Once you come into the gatehouse now, you're safe. And you have no more to worry about, because that was the whole idea, the whole concept right from the very beginning, was to provide this safe place like mom's home to come to instead of a Stark police station and things like that. You can come to a place where you can feel comfortable and tell your story and be safe and be loved, and know that all the people that were involved in building that and restoring that building put their heart into it and all the love that they could into it. Okay.
Thanks for sharing, John. Al, did you want to share a few words for people who are watching the video?
We talking about me? Yeah. I mean, I remember when at some point near the end of the project, Arthur wanted us to explain what we, or I don't know how it came up, but just to describe where we thought this was going, or what value this thing would, this building would have. And I remember telling him that I had this idea, I guess because I lived so close, that many years down the road, there would be this old guy with a cane walking past the gatehouse. And now that I walk with a cane, it's kind of funny. But anyway, I just said that I pictured this old guy walking past the gatehouse with a cane and falling down, and somebody coming out of the gatehouse who had just, had been using the services of the gatehouse, who prior to using the services of the gatehouse might have felt pretty isolated and not very sociable. And this person had come out of the gatehouse, saw the old guy fall down, stopped his car, helped him get up, and make sure that he was okay, and then sent him on his way. And I said, even if that guy doesn't turn out to be me, just the idea that we've put more compassion in the world is good enough for me, And so I just had that picture of that happening. And I mean, I don't live in the neighborhood anymore, so I'm not going to be the guy, but that you never know where it might happen. So just the idea that we could provide this service that enabled people to, tell their story and maybe get back more into society, be able to take part in society more, without feeling the feelings that had caused them, the isolation that no doubt they had suffered over the years because of the abuse that they had suffered. It just struck me that that was good enough for me. And so I would say to people who do make use of the gatehouse and whose life has been made better by the use of the Gatehouse, I would just encourage them to pass it on, and to do whatever they can to help whoever comes along next. And because there's always going to be people. I mean, I know, I too, when I was there, encountered people that would come and sort of just kind of go into an orbit around the house, but seem to be afraid to come in. And you could almost be certain that those people were people that needed to come in and felt the need to come in. And in fact, some of them may have, but there were people that actually came and sort of sussed the place out before it was finished, who clearly to me appeared to be people that were just waiting for it to be ready so that they could make use of the service. And so again, I would just say that, people that have done that and who are doing that and making use of the Gatehouse, hopefully they will pass on in any way that they can by contributing in any way that they can, enabling it to continue, because the good that it's done is beyond my imagining, for sure.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing, Alan. Thank you for all of your contributions. I want to go back to John B. Any words that you would share, John, with the people that are watching the video?
When I met Joni, she was a ESL teacher, and one of the things that she told me was how much she enjoyed watching her students bloom from little buds and to grow and blossom. And when I think about the people that I tried to help through the mentoring program, and what I've learned since, I realized that Art started this as a seed, and he watered it, and other people joined to cultivate that seed and make it grow. And as John said about the love, as Al said about finding people that were just feeling alone and isolated, to those people that feel alone and isolated, when you walk by the Gatehouse, just remember the people that built it with, as John said, love, caring, compassion. And, we all come from water, and we all go back to water. And if you can't find yourself the energy or the inspiration to go to the Gatehouse, go over to your kitchen sink, pour yourself a glass of water, look at that water and take a drink, and feel the energy of us all, and go, get help, and be enriched. You're not alone, you're loved.
Thank you so much for sharing, John. Those very powerful and meaningful words. It's oftentimes we use those very statements: you are not alone, you are loved, you are worthy, you are cared for, and we are here to listen. Thank you, everyone, for spending the time with us tonight. This has been so inspirational. I was like, I hope I don't cry on screen. There's been a couple of times I'm like, okay, hold it in. Jim, I think Jim's on mute.
Maria?
I was on mute. What's Art gonna say now?
Yeah.
What's Art gonna say? Something. Ava was going to say something there.
Oh no, I have a question.
Yeah.
Maria?
Yeah.
Oh, has there ever been, because the Gatehouse is 22 years old, has there been like a 5-6-year-old back in 1998 who has ever come back and talk about, like, now an adult?
Yes, there has actually a couple of years ago, a lady came to the house and she brought her teddy bear that she had gotten when she did the interview. And she told us that story that she came in for a visit and wanted to see the house because she did her interview with the police there when she was a child. So yes, Ava, people do return and come back and see the changes that have happened since then. There's been a lot of different like paints and stuff. When Al B was talking about installing the carpet at past midnight, it made me remember of a remodel that we did upstairs in the investigation room. We painted it like a blue color and yellow, and we kind of put in some primary colors. And it was 3:45 in the morning when I left that evening. I was like, when my parents were like, "It's 3:45. Are you coming home?" I'm like, "Yep, I'll be there soon." And I'm like,
Wow.
it's more than our exhaustion. It's the energy, and I love that John went to energy, right? The energy that we all put in is helping people that we will never meet. And this is also the purpose of this video, is for others to meet you virtually and see some of the faces that help to bring the Gatehouse to life. I am so honored and grateful to be here with you all. And I'm going to turn it over to Arthur, who's going to maybe do a couple of closing statements, and then we'll end off the evening on gratitude and good energy to you all. Thank you.
Just a real quick, one thing based on what everyone is saying. So there was a fellow there, and he tells a story about he comes up to the house and he puts his hand on the door handle, but he takes it off and he goes back down, and he gets in a truck and he drives off to Marie Curtis Park, and he pulls into the park and he opens a glove compartment. He has a handgun in there, and he took the handgun out and put it towards himself, but he didn't pull the trigger, and he drives back to the Gatehouse, and he comes in for it was a meeting that he was to have one-on-one. And so he has the one-on-one meeting, and he ends up going through the programs. Well, there was a little yard sale, one of our community yard sales sometime later. And he came up and he tapped me on the shoulder, excuse me. And I turned around and we hugged each other. Everybody, a lot of hugging going on back then. That was really good. And then he said to me, "Arthur, I'd like you to meet my son and daughter." And that man was able to say, "I want you to meet my son and daughter because of John and Joni, because of John Grogan, because of Al Beatty, because of Jim Charbonneau, because of Al Page, Ava Page, because of everybody that is there now. That man gets to say, I'm alive." We seem to be, I adore you guys. I'm on a bended knee in front of you guys, because you're the people that people talk about in a world that's filled with a lot of anger and hate and really mean-spirited scenarios. But you guys, Jimmy with his wonderful water buffalo hat, Al Beatty, what he is going through right now, dealing with cancer. And Al, you look stronger than, you look beautiful, Al. I just want you to know that. And
Thanks.
It just beautiful. And when we get together, I see John and Joni. Haven't seen John Grogan in such a long time. And seeing you, John, right now, there's so many memories I could go off on a tangent for. And we just saw Al and Ava the other day at our house, and they were leaving. And I was thinking about how many times Al and Ava we've seen each other saying hello, seeing each other saying goodbye. For years, we've been saying hello and goodbye. And I will never, ever really feel like I'll ever say goodbye to Al and Ava. I think I am so blessed to have met up with Al and Ava and everybody, every one of you, and what you have done for people. Just think about that man for a minute, eh? Like, he was going to go and end his life. But because he could come up those stairs, because of Jimmy, Al, every one of you, all of you, because he could come up those stairs, he gets to live. And he's got a family. And every one of you made that happen. And they should be bottling you. So you guys are like the social alchemy, magical elixir people in the world. And I am just very grateful for everything that you have done. So thank you for that, every one of you. That's all I can say.
Yeah, well,
Thank you.
I can appreciate that, but at the same time, for me, it's not about what I did for you, but you gave me the opportunity. Like if you hadn't have come up with this lame brain idea, because really, really, like it was impossible, right? And yet, like I said, when I encountered that first meeting, I realized that it was going to happen. And I've said it many times to people. You think you're doing something for others, and when you do that, what you don't realize is how much you're getting back.
Yeah.
And my computer just ran out, and I don't know where I can't plug it in because I don't know where the battery is. So anyway, I can't see anymore, but you can hear me, I trust.
Yeah.
You should see how you're frozen too, Al.
Okay. So all I was getting at was that what you don't realize when you do something like that is how much you get back. And so I have to thank you, Art, because of that. Because as much as important as it was to do it and to provide people with this, what I've also learned is that it's given me so much back, and certainly has made it easier for me to deal with what I've been dealing with, because always in my back pocket, I have this and know that this is something that we did together, and, it's really changed the world.
Yeah, it has.
Yes.
It has. Yeah.
And I appreciate that very much.
Thank you so much for sharing, Alan. Thank each and every one of you for all that you've contributed to the Gatehouse and continue to contribute. Even having good thoughts about the Gatehouse sends us good energy to keep doing the work that we're doing. So I want to thank you again, each and every one of you. This has been an amazing phone call. I feel super inspired, and I can't wait to post it so everyone else can share. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. And
Thank you, Maria. You are an inspiration.
Thank you.
You keep going with this, and you have so much energy, and you're the reason it keeps going.
Yeah.
That's
Thank
right,
you.
Well said, Tony.
You're
Well
the
said.
Gatehouse.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you,
See you
Maria.
soon.